Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Recapping this week's games. We'll start in the American League. Cleveland ended up taking 2 of 3 from Detroit. Texas with a much needed sweep over the Chicago White Sox. Oakland takes 2 of 3 from Houston. Kind of surprising in that one. The LA Angels sweep Seattle. Get some revenge on those guys. Tampa Bay took 2 of 3 from Toronto in Toronto. Shifting over to the National League, the Pittsburgh Pirates took 2 of 3 from St. Louis. San Diego ended up sweeping Washington. Cease throws a no-hitter in that finale. In that one, Cincinnati took 2 of 2, I guess you could say, against Atlanta, with that third game being postponed. Milwaukee took 2 of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. And then down in LA, it was the Dodgers taking 3 of 4 from the Giants. And then the Interleague, Colorado ended up taking 2 of 3 from Boston. Arizona took 2 of 3 from KC. Minnesota took 2 of 3 from Philly. The Mets end up sweeping the Yankees, taking all 4 games this year in the Subway Series. Been a while since that happened. And Miami, surprisingly, takes 2 of 3 from Baltimore. Dylan, is there anything that kind of stood out to you this week? Some surprising results in this one.
Yeah, obviously, Seattle's sputtering right now.
Yeah.
They got swept by the Angels, but Houston also lost 2 of 3 to the A's. So I'm not going to say a wash, but it was a missed opportunity for the Astros. The Mariners go play the White Sox, who are 50 games under 500, and and the Astros have to play the Dodgers this weekend. So we'll see who's in first place by the end of the week.
Yeah, let's go over this week's games. We'll start in the American League. It is Oakland in Anaheim taking on the Angels. That's going to be Stripling versus Rosenberg, Estes versus Fulmer, and Harris versus Anderson. I'm going to go with the Angels here. Oakland obviously sputtering, but these two teams have kind of taken turns beating up on each other. But obviously, unfortunate injury news with Mike Trout, left the rehab down in Salt Lake with some knee pain. He was close to coming back, so kind of a little setback there, but I'll go with the Angels here.
Yeah, this is actually a 4 game set.
Mhm.
Sunday is going to be TBD versus Soriano.
Okay.
So yeah, the Angels just lost tonight 6-5 to the A's. So the A's took game one.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Angels to win this series because we make our choices before
Yeah.
games happen, obviously. Um, yeah, tough loss tonight, but this is the Angels swept them at home. A's swept them at the Coliseum.
Yep.
A's won 2 of 3 at the Coliseum last week, and now the Angels are back at home. So I'm kind of think it's gonna be one of those home field advantage type of series, but I'm gonna go with the Halos.
Next up is Detroit hosting Minnesota. It's going to be Lopez versus Montero, Skubal versus Ryan, and Ober versus TBD. I'm going to go Minnesota in this one. Obviously, Detroit. We've kind of been waiting for them to take the next step, and it just
Excuse me.
hasn't really happened. But they still got a decent little core there, but just not quite where we expected them to be. But I'm going to go Minnesota here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Twins as well, even though Detroit's been one of the best teams in July. But yeah, Minnesota needs these games, and Detroit, maybe they're gonna sell some pieces. We'll see if this might be Scooble's last start as a Tiger, but I think they'll hold on to him. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
go with the Twins in this series.
yeah, it'd be have to be a kind of a grandfather offer, lots of control with that one. Up next, one of the best rivalries in the league. It's going to be the Boston Red Sox hosting the New York Yankees in Fenway. It's going to be Cortez versus Bayo, Stroman versus Crawford, and Rodon versus Hauk. Oh, I should take the Red Sox here, but I'm going to take the Yankees. The Yankees and the Red Sox have both sputtered out of the All-Star break. The Red Sox only have one win out of the break. So kind of two teams. So something's got to break here, right? Somebody's got to figure it out. I think the Yankees could win this series. I like the pitching matchups for this one too. So yeah, it'll be a really good series. It's always a fun one to watch.
Yeah, they are in Fenway, but Boston's had their number all year, so I'm gonna go with the season series here and go with the Red Sox.
Up
I think
next
you
is yeah. Oh,
you've got your Jays up there.
oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, the Jays have been so bad I forgot about them. Texas at Toronto. Heaney versus Kikuchi, probably his last start if I had to guess. Lorenzen versus Gosman and Gray versus Berrios. I'm gonna go Toronto here. whenever these three line up, they usually do win. So Texas has just been a kind of a mixed bag this year. So I'm gonna go the Jays here, but that's definitely Kikuchi's last start. I'm honestly surprised that he's making that start, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Rangers. They've been hot of late. They're only 3 games back of the American League West, so
Yeah.
it's right there for them, and they need this series. They're coming off of a sweep of the White Sox, so they're hot right now. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Texas.
Seattle in Chicago taking on the White Sox. Kirby versus Thorpe. Wu versus Fetty and Miller versus Crochet. Crochet, another guy who's on Hogwatch. Obviously, he just came out today that said he wants an extension along with the trade, and he has no interest in going back to the bullpen. So it's going to maybe be a sign and trade if he gets moved. Obviously, I'm going to go Seattle. The White Sox might be one of the worst teams of all time. So yeah, I'll go Seattle.
Yeah, we're approaching that. We're gonna find out real quick, um, if they go down as one of the worst. But yeah, I'm gonna take them as well.
Shifting over to the National League, it's going to be Colorado in San Francisco. It's going to be Freeland versus Harrison, Feltner versus Snell, and TBD versus TBD. Obviously, Robbie Ray just came back, threw a gem in his first start in a Giants uniform. No hit, 5 2/3 innings with 7 strikeouts. Colorado just took 2 of 3 from Boston in Coors, so that was kind of interesting. But I'm going to go with San Francisco here. Um, Colorado's not a very good team on the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Giants as well. This is a team that, regardless what they do at the deadline, it's been a disappointment. Um, yeah, and I think they can't even sell their way out of getting underneath that luxury tax. So it's gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be tough. But I am gonna go ahead and go with the Giants. Who knows? Maybe they sweep the Rockies and catch some fire.
Pittsburgh in Arizona. It's going to be Ortiz versus Gallen, Gonzalez versus Fat, and Keller versus Diaz. I'm going to go Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh, um, man, I feel like this team needs to push the chips and not all the chips, but have an aggressive deadline because I feel like the pitching staff is good. Obviously, Jones is banged up, so you could use some reinforcements there, but you got to take advantage of this and maybe jump on some teams in that wildcard race because it is pretty tight right now in that race.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Pirates on this one. Um, man, they've had some impressive wins of late out of the break.
Mhm.
I would like to see them add some bats. We'll see what happens, but they're an interesting team definitely if they get to the playoffs.
Washington is in St. Louis. It's going to be Gore versus Gray, Irvin versus Gibson, and Hers versus Mikolas. Some pretty good pitching matchups in this one. I'm going to go St. Louis, although Washington kind of has had St. Louis's number at times this year, but St. Louis needs to pick up these wins. They're kind of in that um group with Arizona and Pittsburgh kind of for that wild card race. So yeah, I'm going to go St. Louis in this one.
Yeah, I mean the Nats just got no hit from by Dylan Cease, I should say.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean the Cardinals have, I thought they were really blah at the beginning of the year, but they've turned some stuff around. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cards.
Miami is in Milwaukee. It's going to be Rogers versus Peralta, TBD versus Savali, and TBD versus Myers. Obviously, we'll have to start with the Christian Yelich news. He's going to get a second opinion by a spine specialist. May require season-ending back surgery, so that would be obviously a huge loss if they lost that guy for the rest of the year. Maybe they have to get more aggressive than they would like to at the deadline, try and get a bat in there. Obviously he's kind of the spark plug on that offense, but I'm gonna go Milwaukee in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Milwaukee as well. I mean, Miami's talking about trading Jazz Chisholm,
Hmm.
and they've completely given up. I don't know what their direction is at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't know. But I'm gonna go with the Brewers in this one as well.
And rounding out the National League, it's going to be Atlanta versus the New York Mets in Queens. It's going to be Sale versus Severino. That was obviously today. Morton versus Senga, who makes his debut, and Swallenbach versus 2BD. The Mets walked off in 10 innings on Atlanta today. So they take game 1 of 3 in that one. I took the Mets, obviously, before we picked, obviously, before the game. And yeah, I'll go the Mets in this one. They've had a really impressive turnaround. It was looking pretty bleak there in the first couple months of the season. And yeah, it's been a tremendous turnaround. They've played themselves into a wild card spot.
Yeah, this is actually a four-game series as well. It's going to be Lopez versus Peterson in game four. So I took Atlanta to win this series. Obviously, it's a lot different losing game one of three, but if, they can win two of the next three, at least split that for me. Um, yeah, I'm going to go with Atlanta. I was always going with Atlanta in this one. And with Lopez on Sunday, I'm feeling pretty good.
Rounding out the Interleague here, or pardon me, starting the Interleague here, it's going to be Cleveland versus Philly. It's going to be Lively versus Sanchez, Carrasco versus Phillips, and Curry versus Suarez. I'm going to go Philly in here. Some really good pitching matchups in this one. Philly obviously getting healthier, right? Proving that they're one of the best teams in baseball, as they've been playing well all year. But yeah, I'm going to go Phillies in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Philly is the best team in the National League. Cleveland's been consistent, but yeah, I'm Philly's at the bank, and I like that matchup right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Philadelphia Phillies.
San Diego is in Baltimore. It's going to be TBD versus Rodriguez, King versus Kramer, and Vasquez versus TBD. I'm going to go Baltimore here. Like we've been saying the past couple weeks, this is going to be one of the most fascinating team to watch at the trade deadline. They have the best prospect system in baseball, and they can really go out and get whoever they want, anybody they want on the market. So I'd imagine they'd try and add a couple starters to bolster that rotation for the playoff run. Obviously, they came up a little short last year in the playoffs, and they'll look to build on that. But I'll go Baltimore in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the O's as well. They've kind of adopted them like 2 seasons ago, where I just the Angels are when the Angels get out of it, I just root for the O's. Blake can say this is actually a real thing. I just always go for the O's for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Well, you started
So
to grind my gears a little bit, but um, to me being a Jays fan, but yeah, no, you have been on the O's wagon for a couple of years now, for sure.
yeah, before they even like made the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I'm going with the O's, my second team at the moment. And the Angels, they're pretty much out of it, so it's bird season.
Next up is Kansas City hosting the Chicago Cubs. It's going to be Hendricks versus Singer, Imanaga versus Lugo, and Assad versus Cole Ragans. I'm going to go KC, one of the best teams at home this season. Bobby Witt Jr. out of the All-Star break is just absurd. I think it was a double or a single shy of the cycle. Last series, he's been on fire, hitting almost 500 out of the break. He's played himself into the MVP conversation for sure. I'm gonna go KC in this one.
Yeah, the Cubs have been very disappointing. They
Hmm.
already came out and said, hey, we're going to be sellers, big sellers at the deadline. So
Yeah.
I don't really know what they have to sell. I mean, Bellinger, he's on the IL right now.
Yeah.
It's not really perfect timing. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with KC in this series, but interested to see what the Cubs do at the deadline.
100%. Dodgers in Houston, rematch of the 2018 World Series. It's going to be Stone versus Valdez, Robleski versus Blanco, and TBD versus Arrighetti. I'm going to go with the Dodgers in this one. Houston obviously caught fire a lot the past month or so. A little bit of a tough series against Oakland. Kind of got beat up there a little bit, but this should be a really good series. Probably one of the best series is maybe the Yankees and Boston. But this one will be a close second. But I'll go the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's in Houston, so I mean, it's not going to be too crazy if they were coming to LA, which I think they did that last year, right?
Yeah.
There's still a lot of butthurt people
Oh yeah.
that are Dodger fans,
Yep.
but Dodgers always travel well. Should be a packed house this series, and who doesn't love a little bit of drama? So I am going to go with the Dodgers in the series, though.
And rounding out the weekend slate, it's going to be Cincinnati in the Trop taking on the Rays. It's going to be Bads versus Lodolo, Littell versus Abbott, and TBD versus Green. I love the pitching matchups for Cincinnati in this one. I'm going to go the Reds. The Reds kind of are in the same boat as the Cubs right now. Have came out and said like we're going to be making some moves and guys are going to be made available. But I'm going to go Cincinnati in this one.
Yeah, this is kind of a coin toss. That's kind
Mhm.
of how these two teams have played this year. Tampa Bay's been a little bit more consistent. I'm gonna go with the Rays.
Oh, that's going to do it for this one. Rounding out in review, Dylan's got the Angels, Minnesota, Texas, Boston, Seattle, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Philly, Baltimore, KC, the Dodgers, and the Rays. And I got the Angels, Minnesota, Toronto, the Yankees, Seattle, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Milwaukee, the Mets, Philly, Baltimore, KC, Dodgers, and Cincinnati. If you like this video, give us a like and subscribe. We're over 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, we appreciate you guys all listening, and we'll see you on the next one.